Maybe this feels familiar. You were right there in her life, present, available, loyal. You didn't ask for much, just appreciation, just effort, just some sign that she actually saw the man standing in front of her. But instead, she treated your consistency like it was guaranteed, your presence like it was permanent, your love like it was disposable, and you kept thinking, maybe tomorrow she'll notice, maybe next week she'll care, maybe one day she'll finally value what I bring. But that day never came, not until you were gone. If this is you, you know that quiet pain of being taken for granted. You know what it feels like when your good heart gets used as a place for someone else to rest, not something they protect. You know the loneliness of being in her life, but not in her mind. You kept giving, hoping she would eventually give back. You kept showing up, hoping she would finally show gratitude. You kept choosing her, even when she couldn't choose you, and deep down you wondered, why am I the only one fighting? Why am I the only one trying? Why doesn't she see what she has? You tried to pretend it didn't hurt. You tried to look unbothered. But the truth, it broke something in you. Because a man doesn't shut down from nothing. He shuts down when he's done being overlooked. He walks away when he finally realizes that staying costs more than leaving. And the craziest part, now that you're no longer there, she sees it, she feels it. She notices everything she ignored. She finally recognizes the value she couldn't see when she had you. But here's the real question. Why does it always take losing you for her to finally understand what you were worth? Most men get this situation wrong because they confuse giving love with giving themselves away. They think loyalty means overextending, that patience means tolerating disrespect, and that being a good man means proving their worth over and over to someone who barely notices. If this is you, understand something with calm certainties. She didn't fail to value you because you weren't enough. She failed because she got used to the version of you who never walked away. A woman can only respect a man who respects himself. And too many men forget that respect is earned through boundaries, not begging presence, not pressure, clarity, not chaos. You might have believed that if you stayed long enough, if you cared deeply enough, if you worked harder than anyone else would, she would finally wake up and treat you right. But that belief, while noble, is exactly what blinds you to reality. One of the core masculine principles is this: your value isn't proven through sacrifice, it's proven through standards. Das, when a man holds his standard, when he knows what he deserves, he doesn't wait around hoping someone will suddenly treat him differently. He lets his absence communicate what his presence never could. And that's the part most men never learn until it's too late. Another principle is simple but powerful. Severs, she cannot appreciate what she never feared losing, not in a manipulative way, but in a human way. When someone assumes you will always be there, they stop trying. They stop showing up. They stop valuing what's right in front of them. So when you finally step back, maybe quietly, maybe reluctantly, maybe heartbroken, she didn't just lose you. She lost the safety of knowing you were guaranteed, and now she sees it. But the important thing is this: do you see it too? The night you finally walked away didn't feel dramatic. There were no slammed doors, no shouting, no final plea to make you stay. It was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like truth. You remember standing in her doorway, the soft glow of a lamp behind her, the same lamp that once lit the best nights of your life. She looked at you, not angry, just indifferent. And that hurt more than anything she could have said. You remember the weight of your keys in your hand, the way your chest tightened as you stepped out into the cool air. The street smelled like rain, like something ending. You told yourself, maybe she'll stop me, maybe she'll say something, anything. But the silence behind you stayed still. Not a word, not even your name. For the first time, you realized you were walking away from someone who never thought you actually would. Days passed, then weeks. You went back to your own life, trying to rebuild the pieces of yourself you'd lost trying to love her. Some nights, you could still feel the ghost of her hand in yours. Other nights, you remembered all the times you showed up for her when she couldn't bother to show up for you. And then it happened. She showed up in your messages. A simple line at first. Hey, how have you been? But you could hear it between the words. The uncertainty, the regret, the sudden awareness of everything she didn't appreciate when she had the chance. You imagined her in her room, pacing, replaying every moment she dismissed you, every effort she ignored, every quiet hurt you swallowed. It wasn't that she didn't care. It's that she never believed your absence could feel this heavy. And now she finally feels what you carried alone. Now she values you, because now she can't have you the same way again. A lot of men carry false beliefs that keep them trapped in situations where they're undervalued. And if this is you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you were never taught the truth. So let's break a few beliefs that have been costing you your peace. The first false belief is thinking that if you love her harder, she'll love you better. That's not how people work. Love doesn't grow from pressure, it grows from respect. When you give and give without receiving anything back, you don't look devoted. You look depleted. And the truth is, a woman can't value a man who abandoned his own value just to keep her. Remember this. Your effort didn't scare her away. Your lack of standards did. The second false belief is assuming she left because you weren't enough. No. Most of the time, she didn't leave a bad man. She left a predictable one. She left a man who made himself too available, too invested, too willing to shrink his needs. You thought consistency would win her over. But consistency without boundaries becomes invisibility. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. The third false belief is thinking your absence will magically fix her or make her come back changed. Your absence isn't a tool. It's a mirror. It doesn't teach her a lesson. It simply reveals who she really is. A woman who truly cared will feel that void and step up. A woman who didn't won't. And that clarity, while painful, is a form of freedom. You didn't lose her because you failed. You lost her because she was never prepared to handle the kind of man you were becoming. And now she values you in hindsight the same way people always value what they didn't recognize when it was right in front of them. The 1% headman moves through this situation with a completely different mindset. He doesn't beg to be valued, and he doesn't crumble when someone fails to recognize his worth. This is what he understands. Value is something you live, not something you convince someone of. He knows that a woman's inability to appreciate him doesn't lower his stock. It reveals her limits. Where most men chase harder, he becomes calmer. Where most men try to prove themselves, he returns to himself. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. His presence comes from self-respect, emotional groundedness, and the quiet confidence of a man who isn't afraid to walk away from anything that threatens his peace. The 1% headman believes one simple truth. You don't lose people when you set standards. You lose people who can't meet them. And that's not loss, that's alignment. He doesn't use distance as a tactic. He uses it as clarity. If someone truly values him, they rise. If they don't, he doesn't collapse. He simply continues forward, rooted in his own mission, not in someone else's approval. He doesn't get bitter. He gets better. He doesn't beg to be seen. He becomes unmistakable. It happens in a quiet moment, not during an argument, not in a breakdown, not in the chaos of trying to understand her. It happens in the stillness. Maybe you're sitting alone in your room. Maybe you're driving with the window cracked open. Maybe you're lying awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling. But something shifts. Something subtle and undeniable. You replay the memories, the conversations, the silences she left you in. You remember how you kept hoping she'd change, hoping she'd wake up, hoping she'd fight for you with even a fraction of the effort you gave. And for the first time, instead of asking why she didn't value me, you ask a different question. Why did I keep choosing someone who couldn't see me? That thought hits deeper than anything she ever did. In that moment, you feel something return, something you misplaced while trying to hold her together. Your self-respect, your clarity, your quiet strength. You realize you weren't waiting for her to recognize your worth. You were waiting for yourself to finally remember it. You sit there, breathing slower, feeling lighter. Not because she's gone, but because the version of you who needed her validation is gone. And just like that, the power shifts, not back to her, but back to you. In the end, she didn't wake up because you begged. She woke up because you finally stopped. She didn't value you when you were there, because you were giving her what she never had to earn. But the moment you walked away, the moment you reclaimed your silence, your peace, your presence, she finally felt the weight of everything she overlooked. Now she sees what you were offering. Now she understands what she lost. But the real victory isn't her regret. It's that you no longer need her recognition to know your worth. Because a man's value doesn't rise when she wants him back. It rises when he no longer waits for her to.